Welcome to Vintage Tales Narrations. Tonight, we travel from foggy London streets to the deserts of the American West, uncovering a tale of love, loss, and the scarlet thread of justice. London, late 1800s. A city shrouded in fog, gas lamps casting trembling shadows on narrow streets, the sound of distant carriages echoing through alleys like muted warnings. For Dr. John Watson, recently returned from the horrors of Afghanistan, the city felt empty, cold, and hostile. He carried invisible wounds, both of the body and the spirit, seeking refuge in medicine, but finding only silence. It was in a quiet, cluttered laboratory that he first encountered Sherlock Holmes, a man whose gaze did not merely observe, but seemed to see through the soul itself. "You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive," Holmes said without preamble. Watson paused, startled. In that single moment, he recognized that he was standing before a mind unlike any he had ever known. Holmes did not waste time on introductions. Within days, Watson moved into 221B Baker Street, a small, curious flat that smelled of chemicals, tobacco, and old paper. Here, he became witness to Holmes's brilliance, a mind obsessed with details, puzzles, and the thrill of deduction. Their fragile peace was broken by a letter that carried death itself. A man named Enoch Drebber had been found dead. The scene was unsettling. No blood, no weapon, but a face frozen in absolute terror, and the word RACHE scrawled in crimson upon the wallpaper. The police saw confusion, but Holmes saw revenge. He moved through dust and shadow, measuring the subtle evidence the world left behind. Footprints, cab tracks, and the layout of the house revealed a story invisible to others. Holmes deduced that the killer was a cabman, a man familiar with the city streets, who could approach the victims unnoticed. The plot thickened when Drebber's secretary, Joseph Stangerson, was later found stabbed in a hotel room, with 2 mysterious pills lying nearby. Holmes understood then that this was no ordinary crime of greed. It was the first thread of scarlet in a tapestry of vengeance. One pill was poisonous, the other harmless. Jefferson Hope had offered Drebber a choice, taking the other himself, letting fate decide who would live. The blood on the wall, the word RACHE, was not madness but a signature. RACHE, the German word for revenge. Watson watched in awe as Holmes pieced together details that seemed invisible. The trail, however, did not end in London. Clues hinted at a story spanning oceans and decades of pain, lost love, and a promise for revenge. 20 years earlier, in the scorching deserts of the American West, John Ferrier and a small child named Lucy teetered on the edge of death. They were the only survivors of a lost party, stranded in a barren wilderness, awaiting rescue that seemed a cruel mirage. A caravan of Mormons finally found them, offering life at a price. They had to abide by the colony's rigid, suffocating rules. Years passed, and Lucy blossomed into a spirited young woman, radiant with hope and the yearning for love. She fell for Jefferson Hope, a brave and free-spirited man. Their love was pure, a fragile flame in a world of oppression. Yet the elders of the colony had other designs. Lucy was to be claimed, either by Enoch Drebber or Stangerson, a marriage devoid of love, imposed by the tyrannies of men. John Ferrier resisted, protecting his daughter's freedom, but the walls closed in relentlessly. Mysterious messages counting down their days of freedom arrived on their door. On the final night, Jefferson Hope returned to rescue them, but fate struck cruelly. John Ferrier was murdered, Lucy was forced into a marriage with Drebber, and within a month, Lucy died of a broken heart. Jefferson, holding her wedding ring, swore vengeance on the men who had destroyed his world, a vengeance that would cross continents and decades, finally reaching London. Back in London, Holmes orchestrated a trap. Jefferson Hope, disguised as an old man, arrived at 221 B Baker Street, unaware of what awaited. Handcuffs clicked around his wrists. The pursuit that had lasted 20 years had ended. Hope did not appear as a villain. He was a man exhausted by grief and the weight of justice. He recounted his story: Lucy, the desert, the relentless pursuit of Drebber and Stangerson. He explained the pills, the choice between life and death, and how the word RACHE was a signature of revenge, not madness. And then he revealed the final truth. His heart was failing. The years of stress and sorrow had taken their toll. That night, in his cell, Jefferson Hope died quietly, his face serene, as if reunited with Lucy. Watson and Holmes recognized a tragedy more profound than crime. The Scarlet Thread had ended, but the echoes of Hope's devotion remained. A haunting reminder that human hearts carry their own laws, beyond the reach of any courtroom. And so ends our tale, where the echoes of hope and love remain beyond the reach of law. Thank you for listening to Vintage Tales Narrations, where human hearts write their own justice.